All right, so I wanted to make this video to kind of show people a way or maybe multiple ways of adding textures to frames in Tinkercad. Now I'm a little rusty when it comes to Tinkercad, but I'm pretty certain that I can get it done for you. And I'm going to try and make this video as basic as possible, but I'm also going to show you a couple of different ways. So if you're design or if you're detail oriented, you can kind of pursue that. So first thing you're going to want to do is create a new design. Okay, and you could come up here and change it to how to frame. How about that? It seems appropriate, right? So what we're going to do first is we're going to import our frame. So we're gonna do it too, and I tried to pick a frame that was fairly basic, didn't have any texture on it already, just to save a bit of time. So we're gonna do the Freeman Don't Ask G26 V1. There's no texture on it. We're gonna try and get the back strap and the front strap done all in one video, and we'll go from there. So anyway, while this is loading, you're going to want to pick your pattern. So Halloween's coming up, so I decided I'm going to use this pattern. So what we're going to do is we're going to save it. Doesn't really matter what you save it as. You're going to, if you don't have it already, you're going to want to download Inkscape. This is a program. I'll put the link below. I use this for the fiber laser as well as 3D printing. So once you download Inkscape, you'll want to import that pattern into Inkscape. Okay. Once you're here, you need to convert it to an SVG. Probably the simplest way to do that is to come up here. Let me get that in the frame. To path where it says trace to bitmap, and then you'll see this window over here. You want to turn on live preview, remove background, and you can kind of play with this. You'll notice that the image kind of gets a little wonky, and then it gets darker and it goes away. So you can play with this to get the resolution that you want. I'm just going to put it right there. I'm not going to be too picky about it. So then you can click and drag, and here's your pattern after you click OK. So here's your pattern. Now you can save this as an SVG. You can delete this one. So you take this. To go to Inkscape on an SVG, it's only going to accept whatever's inside this square. And I'm sure you can, I've never messed with it because on the laser it doesn't matter. I'm sure you can make that bigger. So we're just going to come up and we're going to save this and we're going to save it as an SVG. It's standard. We're going to call it Trick or Treat because it's the first thing that came to my mind. So then what we're going to do is we're going to come back here. The frame still hasn't loaded. It might take a while, doing things like this on something basic as opposed to like something like Fusion 360 or 123 design. A lot of the frames or things you might want to modify may be fairly difficult for Tinkercad to import because of all the triangles. It works off of triangles, and sometimes the files are too high res, but usually it'll let you know down in this bottom corner right here. You can see where my finger is. If it is too high res, this one, there's a green, so it's good to go. Usually you'll get a warning fairly quick. Because I'm feeling impatient, we're going to see if we can upload Trick or Treat at the same time. So you're going to see it says, there's a size requirement. Imported shape is larger than its workspace. So you can just go and change this to the largest possible option. And if you zoom out, you should see that show up fairly soon. And then we're going to be waiting on the frame. Not a big deal. And again, this is one way to do this. So there's your frame. Perfect. Right? Nice and smooth. There's ones now with panels that make it really easy to add texture. I'm sure that's why they were designed, so credit to the designers for doing that. You also got to remember when you're doing things like this and there are no panels, you're removing material, so you want to remove as little as possible to keep the integrity of the frame. So one thing we can do now is rotate it on its side. We're just gonna pick this side first. And holy crap, that's a lot of skulls. So it's not a perfect square. I'm not going to be too critical as far as the texture or the finished product goes. I'm just, again, this is just a how-to. So you bring your frame all the way down, flatten it. All right, now there's multiple ways of doing this once you get to here, depending on the look you want, or if you're detail oriented. It's all about the amount of effort that you want to put in. So you could do something like this. I always turn I would turn snap grid off here. And you can just walk it. You can kind of walk it on. So this is kind of proven hard to see. You can't really tell when it's going to go down. So what you can do is turn this into a solid, and this into a negative, and kind of, you can do some math. You can kind of walk it in manually, whatever helps you out. So you can so this is where I'm going to have a bit of a brain fart, because I'm not used to doing this on Tinkercad or anything like that. So if you zoom in here, you can see it's actually, it's gray. So you can see it is cutting into the frame. So you can grab these right now and select all. Again, I mean, if you're not picky about details and you just want like this whole side of the frame, so you just grab them and select all and then merge them together right here. You click group, and I'll show you that again because I didn't explain that. And we're going to ungroup it anyway for the sake of the video. And again, this is super, super basic stuff here. This is not anything too intricate. I do recommend learning to use Fusion 360. It makes life a lot easier when it's cooperating with you. And there's a lot of stuff going on here. So it will take a minute. Have some patience. It helps to have patience in this type of work anyway. Now, if you look here, you can kind of get a judgment of where it's going to be, where the texture is going to be. So we still are maintaining that structural integrity of the frame. And it's pretty much only looks like it's going to touch the raised panel. So I guess I did a fairly good job guessing. It might be in some spots we don't want it to be. And kind of look half-assed up on the back strap like that. But I mean, if you just want to put, your Gucci print, or you want to put, tiger stripes or whatever else on your frame, this will get you by, and it'll a good working point, good starting point for you to work from. So we're just gonna wait. While we're waiting, there's also another thing you can do in Inkscape. And you can take I took a picture of a frame earlier. I took a picture in Simplify 3D of this 26 frame. So if you want to create borders or something like this. Now this takes a bit more patience. Because you'll need to size it and everything like that. We're not going to do that just for the sake of keeping the video fairly brief. I know it's not going to be brief. So what we can do here is kind of upload an Inkscape rocks. So what you can do is kind of take your picture, take a picture, make sure it's as flat as possible. And then you can come down to this tool right here. Let me adjust the camera so you can see this tool right here. And I'm going to zoom in and you can draw your own borders. You just have to make sure this is a loop. So you can come up here, so you want it to go around the mag release. And you can curve all these as well. You just have to put more lines and more contact points and things like that. We're not going to go too crazy with it for the sake of the video. Take note that there's a pinhole right there, and then we're going to come back and we're going to connect it. Now we got this. So we can change the stroke style. There's some great YouTube videos on Inkscape online. So, and then you can zoom in and, oh, that's not what I wanted to do. You can zoom in and radius these. You come up to this button right here, and you can kind of pull them, you know, and pull it and radius everything if you want. If you want more rounded, and you want something like that, you want some rounded corners or whatever. We're not going to go too crazy about it, So then you have this border, right? So what you can do now is you can take this pattern and actually come over here and raise it to the top, and you can select this border as well. So you'd give something like this. Let me get this picture out of the way. So what you do is you can click and drag. You can select both of them however you want and give it a control asterisk. And now you have just that. Okay. To send this to Inkscape, to save this as an SVG again, like you have to be inside the outline. So we'll save it as Trick or Treat 2. And we'll save that. And then I'm not sure. I think you know what? We're gonna fill it just in case. You got to fill it again. I'm not going to give you a whole Inkscape tutorial here, but we are going to save this. We'll save it as Trick or Treat 2. Make sure, because if you do it just lines. Now we come back here and look at here. So we have our pattern is on our frame. So this is super basic shit right here. So if you just want some basic pattern, you want to show your friends, or you want to do a pattern, this will work for you. This is okay. This is totally fine. Is it ideal? Not necessarily. So we're going to ungroup. And we'll say goodbye to this guy for a second. Now, the other thing we did was the other side. So we're gonna rotate this frame. We'll import that one and see how that looks. And again, this is gonna become an issue only because of size. I'm not gonna show you how to scale it. It just takes time, and you have to change some numbers and go back into Inkscape and adjust those lines that you made with that tool. Again, there's some great YouTube videos on that specifically. So now what you can do, and we're gonna try it for the sake of this video. We're just gonna try and we're gonna try and scale it. Just kind of ballpark it. So you may have to rotate the model. You do want to make sure that you're in the right place, and I mean, you definitely want to make sure you're straight, just because. So what you can do here is change this to how about we go 0.5 millimeters, because we want it to be deep, but we don't want it to be too deep. So for those of you who don't work off the metric system and you work standard, like pretty much everybody in the country, 3D printers seem to work metric still, so which makes me happy. You can kind of go in and feel it out, and then go down into it and then pull it up. So then you can grab both of them. You got to select the pattern and the texture, and then click group, which is up here. This might be a little bit quicker because there's a lot less detail and all sorts of crap on it. So, and again, this is hanging off right here. You'd have to trim that. It's not, it's not super ideal. Up here, it's not great. The mag scallop area looks like shit. So, but it will work. It will work. It'll get your job done. And, if you're not super picky on them, you're probably going to crack the frame during assembly or after use anyway. That's not necessarily true, but you get what I understand. These frames are expendable, and they can be replaced. So we're just gonna wait for it to load, and again, it's a patience game. So, and you can do this for both sides. You do this for both sides. You can do it for texture and go around wherever you want. It's a great. I definitely recommend using Inkscape for all sorts of graphic stuff. And we're just going to have a little bit of patience here, and I apologize for the delay. You know, that's Tinkercad for you. You know, it doesn't matter how fast your computer is. It's just going to be like that. When I show you the next step, it's probably going to be a little bit longer. But people should be able to choose their own patterns and things like that. The main thing when you're doing here, and you don't even have to look up a vector, but a vector just makes life a little bit easier. You can pick any pattern you want. You can pick this crap. You could do skulls. You could do the Gucci logos. You could do Louis Vuitton. You could do whatever. A bunch of corgis, a Sith Lord, Star Wars patterns, and all sorts of crap. So now we're just going to wait for this guy to load. I do apologize for the delay. I might fast forward this part in the video. Who knows? I try to put up my videos raw so everybody knows they're not edited or anything like that. I'm not a big fan of long YouTube videos, though. It does take some patience, but it will work. It will load for you. It's trying to load all these different cutouts and stuff. It's not ideal. This is not the software to do this with. It will. Can you do it? Absolutely. Should you do it? Maybe not. And then so while we're doing that, why don't we get another frame copied and pasted, and we'll take this one. And now what I want to show you is, and I'm just gonna take a section of this. We don't need all of this bullshit. So what we'll do is we'll take this box right here, and we're just gonna cut out some of it. We're gonna give it a Control D is like your master key for fucking everything on the computer. So if you just do that and then Control D and then select everything, we're just gonna delete all that shit. And I do apologize. My mind does race when I do things like this, so you gotta be all over the place. So we'll see where it goes. So all right, so we got this. I don't know why I did that. Oh, we want this. And we want these two to group together. Now we'll come over here while this is loading because our computer is going to take a shit. We'll come over here and we'll see this pattern. Now you can see the pattern's a little bit more edited. Again, this is super crude shit. It's not ideal, but again, it's a little bit more manicured and you have a lot more control over it as far as what goes where, because you can create your own. You can kind of go chairman one on this and create your own border layouts and stuff like that, which is kind of neat. So I'm gonna get rid of this frame because this one's loaded and we're good to go. And we'll zoom in on this. So now what I want to do is, everybody's sides, right? Sides. So what we want to do is I want to show you how to do this back strap or the front strap. Either way, curved surfaces, fine. Whatever you want to do. We're just gonna rotate this. I like to be able to see my workspace. I don't know about anybody else, but I do like to be able to see my stuff. So we're just gonna snap it 90 degrees. Okay, and again, Tinkercad's gonna start giving you shit because it's getting a little advanced for that. So, all right, so we got our skulls. They're in the correct orientation. So this is where it gets a bit tricky. And you know what? I would be surprised if Tinkercad could even handle this very well. So what you're going to do is we're going to texture this backstrap, but we got to get this radius right. So what you can do is, and this would be better with a paneled border or something like that. You can kind of try and match the grip. I think I think these grips are about 12 degrees. I'm not sure. So we're going to go 12 and see where it's at. Oh, we want to go negative 12. So that should be fairly close. It's not. So we're going to go a little bit more. We'll go a couple more degrees. Why don't we go a couple more degrees? Like another 8 degrees. Okay, that works. 8 degrees works for me. Makes me happy. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to turn this into a hole. And again, this is where it gets tricky. I don't even know if Tinkercad's going to be able to handle this. Theoretically, it should. So if we're going to, assuming we're going to do a full wrap, we're going to miss this space right here. So we do want to bring this down a little bit. And again, you want to make sure you don't mess with the integrity of the frame. So we're getting pretty close to kind of messing with this right here. We can't just cut this out and call it a day. So what we're going to do, and this is where you got to finagle it a little bit. So you're going to have to click this frame because we want to match the radius of this frame. So we're going to make a duplicate of it up here. We're going to duplicate it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to make it a solid. And we're going to take a frame. And again, you know, in the comments and stuff like that, if you know a better way of doing something like this on Tinkercad that would benefit people, drop it in the comments, you know. So right now we have a solid pattern. Then we have our frame that's a hole. I don't know where the fuck it just went. It's right there. So we're going to turn this into a hole, and then we have our regular frame. So we have two frame pieces. One is a hole, and then we have our pattern as a solid. So we're going to do a shift and grab the pattern as well, and then we're going to group those together. This might become an issue as far as taking forever. And I'm not sure what it's going to look like because this isn't how I do this. But I wanted to make something that was pretty basic for everybody. Somebody could go off of. And we'll go from there. We'll figure it out. So now you should just wait. You know, go make a cup of coffee. Go grab a Red Bull. Go head over to 2A3D Print on Instagram or Facebook. Give them a follow. Head over to 2A3dprint.com. Maybe buy some parts for your next printed build. Whatever you got to do. And you don't want to move these either because you want to be able to locate it off of the next one, onto the next one. And again, this is basic. I'm trying not to give too much information or get too much in detail about this. There's a lot of YouTube videos on how to do things similar to this. If you can do it with a cylinder, you can do it with a frame. If you can draw borders on Inkscape, you can make it printable. So there's all sorts of different shit. It's just you got to know what you're looking for. So right now what we just did was we're going to take that whole piece and we cut that frame section out of this pattern right here. You also want to make sure it's not protruding because then there's going to be loose frame fragments you'll end up cutting on the inside. And again, realistically, you shouldn't do this with all this extra overhang shit. It's all, you know, trial and error and a learning curve. So but it's fun. And you know what, once you're able to, okay, so it's good to go. Once you're able to do this, you can do it with pretty much anything. So now we just have our pattern here. I'm going to move it over here and we'll take a look at it. Well, you'll see it's got a curve in it. So you'll see it's curved, so it's curved to the back of the gun. Okay? The back of the frame, I should say, for YouTube or Instagram or Facebook or whatever it is. So now what we're going to do, because it's sitting flush with that, we want to bump it down. So we're going to bump it down. We're just going to, you know, for the sake of the video, and I don't know how this is going to look, because I'm trying not to put too much into it. We're going to go down point. Yeah, why don't we go down 1 millimeter? And we'll see what that looks like. So now what we're going to do, and you can see it's off a little bit right there. So we're going to bump it up a little bit. We want to make sure it's covering everything. And up here, it's going to get a little wonky. We're just, we'll leave that for the sake of the video, just so we can show you the wrap. So now what we're going to do is it's dug into the frame. So now we can do this, and we can shift click on the frame, and we can group those together. This shouldn't take too long. And it should cut, theoretically, it should cut to the radius that it's supposed to be. And it should wrap the frame. It should wrap the back strap. And when you do this on the back strap, it's the same for the front. And you can do this with any pattern you can convert, any image you can convert, any line drawings that you can convert, all that type of stuff. And I do apologize for the lengthy video, but I try to be as thorough as possible so that you can kind of go back and forth and stop the video and kind of see what's happening. And it does take a while to load because, like I said, this software isn't made for this. This is just, you're just running off a website. It's not, with some people. I was having a conversation with a gentleman yesterday who said he has no desire to learn CAD, so, okay, that's fine. So you'll have to deal with things like this. But it's not a big deal, and if you don't have a background in it, or you don't really understand the concepts, or you don't have the time, and you just want to use Tinkercad, you can. This is one way to do that. And it is going to look a little wonky right here. You can kind of see that it's going to chop into that frame a little bit. It's not a big deal, not the end of the world. You just want to make sure when you do this, you want to make sure that you don't mess with the structural integrity of the frame. You can add mag scallops and undercuts and things like that to these frames too. I don't know what the fuck this is doing over here. I'm gonna get rid of that shit. I don't know what that was doing there, but so yeah, if you wanted to undercut a frame or something like that, a couple ways you could do it. For a mag scallop or something, assuming you wanted to pick the right shape that you picked, you'd have to pick your angle. Come over here, find your angle that you want. It almost looks like a decent undercut shape, mag scallop shape, huh? Doesn't it? And again, this is where you got to be careful about the structural integrity, because you're messing with the mag scallop right there. And the magazine does need a little bit to play with, so you can, modify it and change the size to make sure it's smooth. And you can click that, shift click that, and drag that out. We'll come back and check that frame. No good, not yet. Frame's not all set yet. Now we got 2 red frames here. That's just awesome. It's quick, man. It's quick. It's quick. If you wanted to add a mag scallop or something to a frame, or I might fast forward this portion of the video. I don't know. And feel free to fast forward this portion of the video too. I mean, I'm not, I wouldn't hold it against you. I wouldn't be watching for that long either. check out one of these new jigs that we just made. These are really cool for P80 frames. Yellow seems to be fairly popular. All right. Tinkercad for the win, man. Tinkercad for the win. You don't have to deal with this shit in Fusion 360, that's for sure. And I would probably recommend not doing two at one time either, because that's just gonna add a fucking shit show of struggle to the website. All right, so here we go. We got this one. So as you can see, and it's stretched out because the image was stretched out, but it does wrap. So we gotta get a view of this, and I don't know how the fuck you do this in Tinkercad because it's annoying as shit. But so you do see it's wrapped. You know, we are wrapped. So you can do this with any pattern. You know, and we're good. So you can see. So that would be how you would do a backstrap. And like I said, it's the same for the front. So this would be okay. You know. And you'd be good to go. And then you just take this and export it. STL. 2-frame. I'm going to delete all this shit. Come over here. Where did it save to? This is Simplify 3D. Oh, and there's your frame with your texture and everything. Good to go. Ready to print. Don't print at this angle. Definitely don't print at this angle. So, there you have it. And that's how you do that. Mag scallop. That's not what this video is about, but we'll give it a couple seconds and see what it does. And all right, so it's not gonna work. See, we got some errors down here. It's not a big deal. So anyway, that's how you do that. That's how you add patterns. So have fun with it, enjoy it. And thank you for watching.